One of the biggest shakeups in global IT and BPM is about to close. Capgemini, the French consulting and technology giant, is acquiring WNS, the India-headquartered business process management leader, in a $3.3 billion deal set to wrap up by the end of October. I spoke to WNS Group CEO Keshav R. Murugesh, who revealed how this merger was sparked by an unsolicited bid, why it signals a new era for AI-driven business services, and what it means for WNS's future inside Capgemini. From shareholder approvals to the growing role of Gen AI and agentic AI in business services, this deal isn't just about consolidation. It marks a shift in how the BPM industry could evolve in the coming years. And I'm going to tell you all about it on this episode of Point Break. Let's start with the big headline. WNS has agreed to be acquired by Capgemini in a $3.3 billion cash deal, a deal that will see its shares currently listed on the New York Stock Exchange cease to exist. Shareholders have already given their overwhelming approval, and regulatory clearances are moving faster than expected. But why did WNS agree to this deal in the first place? For Keshav Murugesh, it's about timing, strategy, and the changing phase of business in the AI era.
So, as you know, WNS has been a traditional leader of the global business process management industry, and company that has actually over the past 2.5 decades or so defined the industry, moving from the old wage arbitrage model to value beyond cost, digital transformation, and then taken customers down the journey of AI and generative AI at this point in time. I think this combination recognizes the fact that at a time when two great companies are doing exceedingly well, growing very well in the market, very profitable in the market, are recognizing the fact that the future of business driven by generative AI models and agentic AI models is going to be very different to the traditional models that we see today at this point in time, and therefore have decided to come together in this combination. So as you know, Capgemini made an unsolicited bid. We had some discussions between the two CEOs. We actually felt this was absolutely the right time to consider this combination. And we think as a result of this, us coming to the market with our significant strength around domain specialism as well as operational rigor, and Capgemini's traditional strength in consulting and cloud, in technology, and the recent investments in agentic AI and Gen AI is going to be very positive and very salutary for every one of both our clients for the long term. And therefore, as a result of this combination, once all approvals come in place, WNS will be absorbed inside Capgemini. The shares of WNS, which are now listed on the New York Stock Exchange, will cease to exist and will be part of the larger Capgemini family.
And while mergers of this size usually take months to close, this one is moving ahead of schedule. Instead of December, the deal is likely to wrap up by the end of October, a sign of how aligned both sides are on this opportunity. But this deal isn't just about consolidation. It's about a shift that's been brewing for years. The BPM industry, once synonymous with cost savings and wage arbitrage, has steadily evolved. First came value beyond cost, then digital transformation. Today, the next frontier is clear: generative AI and agentic AI. For WNS, this isn't just a buzzword. It's the biggest white space opportunity the industry has ever seen.
If you look at the history of the industry and our company, and I've been involved with the industry for a long time, I must mention that also. You've seen that people have always been very comfortable with how players like us responded first and foremost to technology changes, and then while many naysayers across the market always focused on any technology change as potentially a headwind for the industry, we always converted each of these technology changes and ecosystem changes, I would say, to tailwinds, for the industry. And like I mentioned before, therefore we've been through probably 4 waves of changes from an offshore, model point of view itself. The whole wage arbitrage model giving way to value beyond cost, where companies introduced a little bit of domain and analytics, and then digital transformation, where a lot more of technology and cloud solutions were infused. And today the entire excitement is around where Gen AI and potentially agentic AI will take this industry in terms of unlocking the 70% white space that the traditional digital operations industry has not been able to unlock as of now. Right. And again, that's a very important proposition that I want to place before you, because if you look at the traditional IT services industry, you'll see that most industry analysts have said that almost 70% of that industry is fully penetrated. There's only a 25-30% white space. Whereas in the case of the global business services model, you will see that most analysts agree that only 25% actually has been penetrated. There's a 75% white space where decision makers on the other side have felt that this is very core to them and held on to them. Right? This combination and the fact that the world is moving into an era where Gen AI and agentic AI can actually dramatically help agents not only become more efficient, but actually allow much better solutions, faster, cheaper, take over entire end-to-end value streams of client companies. But more importantly, give comfort to customers that finally they can start allowing us to get into that 70% white space is the big opportunity of the future.
Think about that. In IT services, nearly 3/4 of the market is already penetrated. But in global business services, it's the opposite. 75% of the market is still untouched. Murugesh believes AI could finally crack that code, unlocking whole new streams of value for clients. With Capgemini acquiring WNS, there's a lot of talk about what this means for customers. How will this combination actually benefit clients, especially in terms of technology, risk management, and cost efficiency? Murugesh explains it this way.
And now with this new combination that we are putting together, Cap and us, I think the ability for customers to also understand that we can come together with this unique solution, leveraging our domain and our operational rigor with all the technology, benefits of Capgemini, as well as their investments in some of these new technologies like agentic and Gen AI, and provide a TCO-led approach, which is backed by a very strong balance sheet. Gives a lot of comfort. So if you are a customer today in an era of uncertainty, what would you look for? You would essentially look for a provider and a partner who, first of all, understands your business, understands technologies, making the investments, not forcing you to make those investments, and has a large enough balance sheet to eat any risk. Right? So if I go in and scope with a customer saying, okay, this entire value chain, today you spend $2 billion on it, I will come in through this combined entity and, consult, do the entire IT cloud solutions, completely reconfigure all of these things and provide the operating, environment to you. And if I deliver it to you at 30-40% off on a fixed fee basis, why would you not want to go with that? Right? Because all you want to make sure is if there's an issue here, first and foremost, is this partner of mine investing very strongly to make sure there's no issue? On the other hand, if there is one, does their balance sheet, accept or enable, me to be protected? And frankly, this transaction allows us to do those things.
WNS had also strategically acquired a few companies in the analytics space, including Kippy AI and the SmartCube. And all these were strategically done to strengthen their data engineering space.
So I think the most important area inside the analytics world that we can actually influence is through the whole data engineering side, right? Okay. And that is where Kippy was a beautiful, acquisition that allowed us to really plug a gap that we had in that area, and therefore, like I said, post acquisition of that Kippy asset, we are actually seeing that it has performed extremely well. One. Second thing is it has added more firepower, to the overall solution that WNS brings to every one of our existing clients as well as prospects. And longer term, in the larger integration, I would expect, the whole analytics side of our business, along with Kippy and TSC and a few other assets that we acquired over a period of time, to actually lead the way in terms of enabling us to provide actionable insight to our customers, at a scale that, they would want.
All right. So the big question that remains is what next? What happens to WNS after the merger is completed? For WNS, this isn't the end of its journey. It's the start of a bigger one. In fact, on the global business services side, WNS is actually larger than Capgemini. That means the company isn't just being absorbed. It's expected to play a leading role in shaping the combined entity's future.
So what I'm most excited about is the fact that, the company that WNS is going into is one that has a fantastic leadership team led by their CEO, who has actually done 4 very large-scale integrations and acquisitions over the last 2 decades or so. So we are very comfortable that the integration of WNS into Capgemini also will be very smooth because they have a lot of experience. The second is the fact that when we look at their leadership team, we see that a lot of their leaders, including their CEO, actually came through an acquisition. That gives a lot of comfort, also to my leadership team in terms of the opportunity for them in a larger playing field, I would say. Third thing is the fact that, if you look at the 2 companies and you look at the GBS part of the business, we are actually the larger player compared to Cap in the GBS side of the business. So therefore, the expectation also that WNS will continue to, lead and grow. And, both companies will learn from each other and then bring the best practices to bear for the benefit of our customers is very, very exciting, if you ask me, from the medium to long term. So I think, and finally, if you look at it, the fact that we are probably one of the first players to make such an interesting announcement at a time when both of us were doing so well independently, right? Again, means that we are going to create a new, capability in the industry, which I think will redefine the industry over the next 2 decades.
And if there's one big bet Murugesh is placing, it's on AI, not just as a tool, but as a tailwind that can reshape industries and economies. For him, India in particular stands to gain.
AI is not new. It's been around since the 1950s, so it's not a new thing. But generative AI and agentic AI, again, after some amount of stress, because we'll have to learn to work with it in a different format, right? After some amount of stress, it will actually become a significant, tailwind, for the industry. I would say one, it will allow, countries like India to dramatically start changing their models around skilling, upskilling, reskilling, and training of people, such that the great combination of large numbers of talent, along with a very well trained and prepared, AI workforce, is the biggest potential, I think, for a country like India for the long term. So I think that's very, very exciting. And finally, I'll say that generative AI actually allows all of us to go after a very large, unpenetrated market, which means if all of us are smart in terms of leveraging it in the long term, it means it augurs very well for job creation also in the long term.
From wage arbitrage to intelligent operations, from outsourcing routes to an AI-powered future, WNS's journey mirrors India's own rise in the global digital economy. And now, as it becomes part of Capgemini, that story enters a new chapter. For Keshav Murugesh, the bet is clear. AI isn't just the future of BPM. It's the tailwind that will redefine it. That's all we have on this episode of Point Break. I'll be back with more such exclusives and interviews that aim to explain the biggest acquisitions in our country. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and think AI, think AIM.